Opening a company in Georgia is simple, and often you can do it in less than 30 minutes if you have the right documentation. Of course, this sounds too good to be true, and as someone who has opened multiple countries' companies and who has opened bank accounts in multiple countries, the fact that you also get a bank account for that company in the same period shows just how efficient Georgia is. If you stick around, I'll tell you exactly how you can arbitrage this to create wealth, protect your assets, and live a more fulfilling lifestyle. Hello and welcome back to the Travel Report. Today we're going over Georgian companies and how their efficiency is your opportunity. Of course, I've lived here for 2 years, and whenever I go to the public service hall, it never ceases to amaze me that every single time I go to the public service hall, I am immediately greeted by efficiency, sometimes ruthlessly so, by people who are actually trying to get work done, and by an atmosphere of business owners, business operators, and people who truly are willing and ready to take the next steps in business. As a lot of people may search online, absolutely yes, Georgia does have a very quick opening formation process. That said, of course, there is some nuance to that. You do have to go and get a lot of documents notarized, and additionally you need a lot of different papers, stuff like this, where inevitably and invariably it can take more time to prepare than 30 minutes. However, once you get all of those documentation, you bring your passport to Georgia, the public service hall, take your passport into the service hall, and then you open your company. Often with Georgia, they're actually very formal in their opening procedures and how they dictate things. Now, I wouldn't say they're as formal as, say, London or New York, but Tbilisi, they do have procedures that they follow step by step, and realistically, that's perfectly fine. As I spend more time here as well, I realize that efficiency goes up as you know Georgia, quite substantially. And so, of course, if you want uber efficiency, you should bring someone who knows Georgian or learn it yourself. Of course, if you want to open a bank account, open a company, or whatever else, feel free to click the link down below and schedule a calendar call if you don't have the time to do it, as I have the connections to get a company created for you. That said, of course, when it comes to opening businesses, oftentimes they are very direct, they're very honest, they're very open, and they're very helpful as well when it comes to documentation. It's not like the IRS or the DMV, where they just expect you to read page after page after page of documentation, make sure that you yourself bring all of the documentation, make sure that you live up to their standards, rather than, of course, giving an easier time, making all of this processes easier. And this leads to actually higher rates of willful tax filings than most places on earth. That said, it is still very infrequent that older people file taxes, and I'll get into why exactly taxes are such a detriment to collect, and why realistically a lot of countries, not just Georgia, but specifically in Georgia, there's a movement to not pay taxes. There's a frustration with taxes, and of course, I can get into that in the next, whenever I get into it. And so if you are interested in that sort of content, feel free to drop down to the description or my channel and click that subscribe button. Only takes a few minutes, and I appreciate it. That said, of course, when I say speed, when I say efficiency, oftentimes this is then on the back end also efficient. One thing you should know is if something is efficient on the front end, typically it's not efficient on the back end. However, Georgia is both efficient on the front end and the back end. That said, it is still a very relational country, and so relationships matter, and they will still speed up just about every process within Georgia. And as a lot of my friends here will tell you, I'm connected within the country, and so I do things a lot differently than they would. That said, of course, when you're looking at a structure, there are three or four separate kinds of companies. There's the solo or sole entrepreneur route, which is the 1 to 3% tax. There's the LLC, which is the Estonian style LLC, where you are given a 5% dividend upon withdrawal, as well as a 15% corporate tax rate, which is dropped if you, of course, have a company within Georgia that is billing foreign clients. There's also a joint stock company. However, it's with this that, of course, when I state the ease of this process, there is also some liability if you choose a sole entrepreneur, which is the simplest company type. Of course, you can still get sued. And so, of course, if you want me to go over asset protection, other things, I'll be doing that in the near future. If you're excited for that, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Only takes a few seconds, and I appreciate it. If you're looking for one-on-one consultation, absolutely free, for 15 minutes, feel free to drop down to the description below. If you liked this video, feel free to like it. If you really like this video, feel free to share it. This has been the Traveling Report, signing off.